Hello, ladies and gentlemen. My name's Stepsbasic, and welcome back to my show. Uh, so, first of all, obviously, I need to apologize for missing yesterday's uploads. It's hitting me a lot harder than I was expecting it to. I mean, to be perfectly honest, it's understandable. Grief and loss and everything is not it's not an easy thing for us to deal with, especially when it happens to someone or something so close to us. Losing my dog like that was rough, for lack of a better term, and of course, pun not intended. But it is what it is. Have to keep moving forward because I can't just let it completely sap my life, as it were. So I do have to get back to recording, but honestly, I have nothing up for today. I'm going to edit the video I was going to put up yesterday. I'm going to edit that and try to get that out to you today, but no guarantees yet. I got to give massive props to, shout out or whatever you want to call it, to the Virginia Beach SPCA. It was a painful moment, so there's no way that was going to be a perfectly exciting, happy encounter, and I wasn't expecting it to. But the sympathy and the empathy that we had from the doctor and the nurses and everything was just amazing, honestly. And they weren't trying to shame us or anything, or talk about why haven't you taken a dog to get a diagnosis or anything. They did ask if we had, and of course, we hadn't, because he was 16 years old. Didn't really need much of a diagnosis to tell us he was dying of old age, especially when dogs his size generally don't live past 13. And yeah, I mean, they were surprised, actually. I showed them a picture of Chompers when he was younger, back in March, compared to the more recent picture we had of him. And he he changed a lot in just a few short months, and it's amazing to see, not in a good way, how fast it can happen. But everything went smoothly. We got to say our goodbyes. We got to stay in the room with him. He got beef stew for his final meal, as it were, and it was dog food still, but and he loved it. He wouldn't even drink his water. He was just like, I'm just gonna eat the food. And they gave him a piece of pizza too, which was really nice of them. I remember, like, we were all in the room. Me, Lizzie, and her mom were all there to say goodbye. And he got all the lovin's. He knew what was happening. I mean, he wasn't trying to fight or anything. He was very calm. He whimpered like once. And that was when they were injecting him with the chemical cocktail, as it were, to kind of make him calm and easy going. They didn't really need it, but he was already accepting. But he got to walk around a bit. I mean, this was the most energy we'd seen from him in a while. And he got to walk around in the grass and sniff around. They have a very beautiful setup out there. Lots of places for you to walk around with your dog. Dealing with the loss of him since then, though, has been a bit harder. Like the first night back, Wednesday night into Thursday, was probably the worst sleep I'd had in forever, because I've been used to waking up in the middle of the night when him whining and whimpering, and just holding him and comforting him until he went back to sleep. And I still did that, only to get up and realize he wasn't in bed with me anymore. And got up the next day and kept doing the same things I usually did for him. I checked to make sure he didn't pee on the carpet, because he got old and kind of lost control of his bladder at the end. And so I wake up and he's not in bed with me. I naturally assume that he's gotten off the bed and gone to pee somewhere, but he wasn't there. And I keep checking to make sure I don't roll over him with my chair every time I back up or move around in the office, and he's not there. I reach over to pet him when I'm feeling a little blue, and he's not there. I know I said I wasn't going to talk more about this on the channel anymore, but I need to right now. I need to talk. I need to get it off my chest, and my friends are being wonderful and helpful and saying, anytime you need to talk, and I'm talking. But I don't know, I find it a little easier to organize my brain or vent my brain when I'm just talking to a camera. Go figure. And I'm going through the process right now of getting rid of his stuff. I took away his food bowl, and I have his I still have his leash outside where we'd leash him up so he could go to the bathroom. Every time I come to the house, I see it, and I'm like, ouch. I gave Lizzie his collar, and she wears that as a bracelet now, and I'm like, that's kind of sweet. And it's kind of funny because the collar I gave her is the one that he hasn't worn basically since the first month he got it, because the clasp broke on it. But sometime between then and now, the clasp decided that even though it's broken, it doesn't care. It's going to keep holding. But thank you for your patience anyway. I know I promised I'd be back yesterday, but with everything I just couldn't motivate myself to do anything while I was sitting here alone. While kiddo was at school and everything, I was just sitting here just trying my best not to think. And when you try your best not to think, that's the worst time, because never works. But needless to say, I don't have any other content for today. I'm going to try to get the video that was supposed to go up yesterday. I'm going to try to get that together for you today. But next week, I'm going to get back into it, back into the role with it. I'm kind of all over the place in this video, but, he was my best bud, my little buddy. 10 years is nothing to laugh at. He was my dog for 10 years. And it's nothing to scoff at, because that's a long time, even for us who live longer. That's about a third of my life, for crying out loud. And, it's even worse for kiddo, because she's basically known him her whole life. She's 12 now, and she's known him since way back when, since 2009. But she's doing really well. I'm actually kind of proud of her. She's not bottling up, but she is putting on a brave face, and she's talking about it. She was talking with her teachers yesterday, and she talked with me. So she's not bottling it up, but she's not letting it completely drag her down. So, I'm very proud of her about that. Yeah, when the time came on Wednesday, when the time came, she was inconsolable. I mean, she cried basically the whole way home. It's kind of sad, I stayed in there with him for a little while. And Didn't really kick them out, but I'm like, you know what? Why don't you and kiddo go to the go up front for a moment? And that was so that I could properly grieve, really. And I broke a little. I'm talking about like full on ugly cry. But like I said, thank you guys for your patience with me while I work through this. I'm going to be back on Monday. Never before have I ever been so happy that I take the weekends off. Because now I don't really have to worry about anything until Monday. Get a little bit of work done today, and then that's it for me. But, you know, much love to the puppers. He's at ease now. He's not in pain anymore. And, you know, the doctor and was talking to us, and she's like, you know, it's I understand, you know, but this is the right decision. I don't want you guys to hate yourself for making this decision. And, you know, even though rationally I know it was the right decision, I'm still beating myself up for it. It's kind of like the question, you know, why do I have this power? Why do I have this ability to make this decision for the life of my pet? And honestly, it's because he can't. If he'd have known that the option was on the table, he would have probably wanted to go a month or so earlier. And I wanted to help him out a month earlier too, you know, take him. But finding somebody I could afford, finding somewhere I could pay and not completely bankrupt myself was difficult. Especially since nobody seemed to list their prices anywhere. But then I got up the gumption, you know, after sweating it and worried that the only thing I could do was surrender him. I finally called the Virginia Beach SPCA, and I was like, thank God. The cremation services were the most expensive part of it. But altogether, it was less than $200. So I was like, "Yay!" You know, I gotta go pick up his remains tomorrow. Means another trip out to Virginia Beach. It's a long drive. But we're hopefully going to be able to get him a tasteful urn, something to rest the ashes in. I'll be alright. Kid'll be alright. This is the first time she's had to deal with this sort of thing, and for me it's like the third time. But anyway, thank you guys so much for joining me for tonight's episode. Hopefully you, well, I don't want to say enjoyed it, but, you know, hopefully you stuck through to the end, as it were. And, yeah. Tune in next week. I'll be back. I'll be better. Marginally so every day. That's about how it works. Just gets easier to deal with. But yeah, until then, good night.